Justin Timberlake is one of the greatest musicians of his generation.
In terms of music creativity, in terms of sheer celebrity power, there is no one bigger in the world right now than Justin Timberlake.
Other pop stars who've been at Justin Timberlake's level of fame and success have eventually struggled with the spotlight. Justin Timberlake has stayed level-headed, he's kept his focus on the career, and he's very clever in business, seeing what the fans want, adjusting to different trends.
With millions of album sales worldwide and over 500 million hits on YouTube, the man from Tennessee has established himself as one of the biggest stars of the 21st century.
And as a pop artist, he's kind of up there. He's on his way to Michael Jacksonville.
When you do a song, you have to put yourself in that frame of mind. You gotta believe what you're singing about. You gotta feel it. And the best songs come out of those that come straight from the heart.
Having conquered the music scene, Justin Timberlake has also gone on to become one of Hollywood's hottest actors.
He really struck gold when he was cast in the award-winning film, The Social Network.
And that's the story that I know we all wanted to tell as actors.
He kind of improved even more and showed us he could get those big film roles.
I think you just kind of get into the character and, you get lost in the character.
From NSYNC to the forefront of Hollywood's fame, Justin Timberlake's career has gone from strength to strength and shows no signs of slowing down. This is the remarkable story of a true superstar. Justin Timberlake is an artist like no other. He's acquired millions of fans all over the world. Having sold over 30 million albums worldwide, he is one of the best-selling artists of all time. In 2013, Justin's incredible and unique career was honored at the MTV Music Awards, where he won the Lifetime Achievement Award. At the ceremony, he performed a medley of his greatest hits and, quite simply, stole the show.
When Justin won the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2013 VMAs, I think we really got to grips with who he is as a performer.
I was lucky enough to have been in New York at the MTV Video Music Awards, and the VMAs is the show every single artist wants to be at. Everyone wants to get nominated, everybody wants to do the red carpet, but everybody ultimately wants to perform on that stage. And Justin Timberlake was given an incredibly exciting and rare opportunity.
It was hit after hit after hit. The dance moves were slick. The audience was loving it. His voice was so on point.
Justin Timberlake was the king of the room. He gets a Lifetime Achievement Award. Who gets one of those before they're even in a wheelchair? NSYNC were also on that show, and that really served to demonstrate what an incredible career Justin Timberlake has had. Watching Justin and watching the rest of the band made me think, yeah, they're really great, they're really talented, but Justin is the one with the star quality.
There is no doubt that winning the MTV Lifetime Achievement Award was one of the major highlights in an already illustrious career for Justin Timberlake. It topped off a fantastic year for Justin, a year in which he released his hugely successful solo album, The 2020 Experience, which included the smash hit Mirrors.
And original, cause it doesn't seem really as simple. And I can't help but stare, cause I see true summer in your eyes.
I actually think Mirrors is one of Justin Timberlake's greatest pop singles today. It's actually my favorite track on the 2020 Experience album.
It's basically a song about love. It's talking about looking in the mirror and seeing your other half reflected back. It talks about a split in a relationship and how during the split you realise that you were nothing without the other person and how the other person's a reflection of you. And he's been open about how he's dedicated to his grandparents who had an enduring relationship and who were the touchstone he looks back to.
This is a really special video for me because it's a tribute to my grandparents. I hope my grandmother's watching right now. This is for you, Granny.
video was brilliant, the song was huge on radio, straight to the top of the Billboard charts in the US, and it's definitely, your typical Justin track that's going to be there for years and years.
"2013 was a year full of outstanding achievements for Justin Timberlake. He was recognized and rewarded for his amazing career and also released a multi-platinum album. But where did Justin's journey to stardom begin?
Justin grew up in Shelby Forest. Ever heard of it? No, me neither. Shelby Forest is a small community outside Memphis, closer to Graceland than to Hollywood, but Justin certainly wasn't born into a showbiz family. He wasn't born singing and dancing as soon as he came out of the womb. It's about as far away from Showbiz Central as you can get.
His father, Randall, was a choir director for a local church. Naturally, this is where Justin really found his feet as a performer. There was undoubtable amounts of talent. He had an incredible voice and would often sing at a very young age at the church.
And I think they realised very early on that he had an amazing voice and a big talent.
Justin has spoken very openly about the close bond he has with his mother, stating that she was his best friend when he was a youngster, and unfortunately for Justin, his parents got divorced when he was just 5 years of age.
Justin had a really warm and loving childhood, but it was a very fractured one, and he's been very open about this. Latterly in his career, he was quite a closed book for the first part of it, quite a private celebrity. But his parents were both great. He's always said he didn't have a problem, but they got divorced when he was 5 years old, and they were pretty much done by the time he was 3. And I think it was about 2011, he said he was working through a lot of issues with his parents, and he'd found out that the formative years were really difficult when the parents separated. So he's been quite open that that really was a bit of a splinter in his life.
It obviously hugely affected him when he was growing up, but still, he's got such a close bond with his mother and often says that she is his best friend.
Justin's spoken quite openly about the fact that him and his mother are very, very close, and I think he's obviously kept the relationship with the mother a lot stronger than what it is with the father.
I think 95% of A-list stars come from broken homes. And that breakup can affect people in different ways. And Justin Timberlake, started to perform as a kid, to sing and dance and get applause. It gave him a feeling of love, a feeling of affection, maybe something that he was feeling a bit starved of since his parents split up.
Despite going through a tough time as a youngster with his parents getting divorced, Justin's desire to perform remained as strong as ever. A unique and exciting opportunity came his way when he was 11 years old. He got the chance to feature on the hit TV child talent show Star Search.
Before there was America's Got Talent, before there was American Idol and The Voice, there was Star Search. Back in the early 90s, this was the show that was your launchpad to fame. Justin Timberlake managed to get on it, and wow, anyone who saw it would never forget it.
He was always performing the country songs. He wasn't doing all of the slick, sexy back dance moves. It was a very different Justin in those days.
I said my hands are sweaty and my knees are weak. I can't eat, I can't sleep.
While Justin didn't win Star Search, the confidence he could get from performing and being told how great he was amazing for him.
What it did was give him the confidence. It got him used to the fact of, being in the studios, performing, taking a bit of criticism, and really trying to fight to get to where he wanted to go.
After performing on Star Search, an even bigger opportunity was about to come Justin's way.
Justin signed up for the Mickey Mouse Club, the iconic TV show founded by Walt Disney.
Well, this was amazing. Also there were the likes of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Ryan Gosling.
A lot of people don't realise the Mickey Mouse show only actually lasted for about a year. It was 93 to 94. I think it's become such a sort of huge hotbed of talent that people assume it went on for years. But it was very, very popular with young fans. And because it was so popular with young fans and the merchandise, a lot of people took note. For Justin, that was the moment that his career really took off, even though he didn't really know it at the time.
Justin was a diamond. Disney polished him up. They gave him the skills that would sustain him for years to come. He was part of a fame factory. He was surrounded by other young talents. They were a mutually supportive society, and they were helped by Disney.
And while there were so many talents there, it was actually J.C. Chasez, who he ended up founding NSYNC with, who Justin got on with the most.
Justin's successful run on the Mickey Mouse Club had come to an end. But what was about to follow would be the beginning of Justin Timberlake's rise to fame. He and fellow Mickey Mouse cast member J.C. Chasez decided to set up a boy band, and soon after came the birth of NSYNC.
Obviously, Justin and J.C. Chasez have said that they were basically starting the band when they were in the Mickey Mouse Club.
Behind every great boy band, there tends to be a Svengali figure. The guru here was Lou Pearlman. He'd seen the success of New Kids on the Block and wanted to replicate it with the next great boy band. NSYNC proved to be that band. He saw footage of Justin Timberlake performing on the Mickey Mouse Club, and Lou was very good at seeing star quality. He spotted it right away in Justin. He got him in. Justin recommended his friend JC, who'd been with him in the Mickey Mouse Club, and they together joined NSYNC.
They rounded up other bandmates, Joey and Lance and Chris Kirkpatrick, and moved to Florida, where they started incredible rehearsals and relentless dance work routines.
The band, interestingly, got its name when Justin's mother was watching a rehearsal and commented how the boys' voices were very much in sync with each other. And Lou Pearlman hears that and thinks, NSYNC, that's the name of the band. We'll have that. That sounds great. So the naming of NSYNC is all thanks to Justin Timberlake's mom.
Lou Pearlman was so confident that the boys would become stars that he contacted the former manager of the Backstreet Boys, Johnny Wright, about becoming their new manager. NSYNC performed a showcase for Wright, and he was so impressed he signed them up instantly. The boys were about to embark on a European adventure to record their first album.
NSYNC had a different path to fame than other American boy bands. They first signed to a German label. They went over to Europe to perform. They worked with Swedish songwriters. They had a great performance in Budapest, and an American label saw them over there and signed them up instantly.
Well, it's amazing considering Lou Pearlman's success with the Backstreet Boys that they couldn't really get a big American break. It wasn't happening. No one was particularly interested in this idea of another boy band. The name didn't gel. People weren't getting good feedback for it. So success in Europe was the only way they were ever going to get a leg up and get a leg up in America.
It's almost like when a Broadway show has a tryout out of town. You don't go immediately to New York. You go to Canada or somewhere. Lou Pearlman was very clever. He just wanted NSYNC to get familiar with performing together in front of audiences, record deals. They learned how to do all this over in Europe.
In order for NSYNC to be successful, it was vital that their first single was a smash hit. And with the release of I Want You Back, the boys became an overnight sensation throughout Europe.
I Want You Back was that perfect European pop song. They went to Germany first. We kind of owe it to the Germans that they got them off the ground. But Europe followed. They started to hit all of the top 10s around Europe.
And their first single was a huge hit in the German market, an absolutely huge hit in the German market. And from there, they started touring Europe. They had a big hit in the UK. They became massive in London.
And the crowd and the fans loved it. It was on all of the music channels. Everyone was loving their dance moves. It was exactly what the boys needed.
NSYNC's self-titled debut album was a huge success throughout Europe. After capturing the attention of an executive who represented the American record label, RCA Records, NSYNC were signed up and ready to take on America.
They'd cracked Europe. They'd conquered the continent. But what they really wanted was to break America.
NSYNC did have to be slightly careful because they had a very European sound. So a few tracks were reworked, rejigged, and re-recorded just for the American market.
Well, after their titular album was so successful in Europe, I think that the general consensus is it was going to be a shoe-in in the States. But actually, when it was released, the album was pretty sluggish. No one really took to it. It didn't get anywhere near the top 20. It was a slow burner, but there was a real fear that they weren't going to break, that this was a band that would work in Europe. The name NSYNC seemed a bit of a European name, maybe a bit electronica, and it just didn't take off. Nobody was really going for it.
Unfortunately for NSYNC, their debut album was not faring so well in the American market. However, when they performed on the Disney Channel in place of the Backstreet Boys, their album sales started to rapidly increase.
Disney Channel had arranged a big TV special for the Backstreet Boys, but Brian from the Backstreet Boys got very ill with heart trouble and couldn't perform. And so Lou Pearlman says, not a problem, NSYNC can substitute for them. So NSYNC did the Disney Channel concert. That put them right in front of the audience they needed on television. They were huge from that point.
And they blew the crowd out of the water. After that, they didn't look back. Their album, number 9 in the charts just 3 weeks after. It was this performance that put them on the map.
NSYNC's US fan base was growing by the millions. And at a time when they should have been focusing solely on their careers, the band entered into a legal battle with Lou Pearlman, the man who started it all for the boys.
Just as NSYNC's success started to actually snowball and they started to make a bit of money, they suddenly realised that they weren't actually making any money. It wasn't tallying. They were selling records and they were making an absolute pittance, but Lou Pearlman seemed to be lining his pockets. Everyone who worked with Lou Pearlman, a colourful character who's now behind bars, ended up suing him in some way or another.
When fame goes wrong, it's the classic story, isn't it? Well, here is the situation. NSYNC sued Lou Pearlman, the man who'd formed the band. They were angry that he was taking too much of their money, basically. According to legal papers, they claimed that he was taking 50% of the money that was due to them, when he'd originally only agreed to take 1/6 of the money. Lou Pearlman was outraged by this lawsuit, and he countersued. So suddenly, all the lawyers got involved. You know, it's fine when you have success and fame and money and fans, but when the money starts mounting up, everybody wants a piece of it. Then the argument started. This was eventually resolved out of court. They came up with a settlement with Lou Pearlman. NSYNC and Lou went their separate ways.
After putting their legal problems behind them, it was now time for NSYNC to focus on their music. The boys were back in the studio recording their second album, No Strings Attached. And it was this album that made NSYNC worldwide superstars.
Now it's time for us to go for long term. We're gonna be here for a while, for years to come. We're gonna grow with our fans, always do the music they wanna do. We're never gonna fall off the face of the earth for 2 years like a lot of groups do. But we're gonna stay in touch with our fans, see what they want us to do.
Well, it's interesting with Justin Timberlake's career in life that quite often dramatic personal events that he doesn't really have anything to do with and doesn't push into the public eye furthered his career in some way. And after the legal battle with Lou Pearlman hit the headlines and No Strings Attached was released, this became more of a three-dimensional band. People sort of fell in love with the struggle a little bit more, and of course the name No Strings Attached, after breaking free from this dodgy impresario, drew people to the band a little bit more.
What's the title?
No Strings Attached. What's that?
The significance is, I think, just that we're more or less coming into our own as musicians and showing people that, you come out with one album and everybody's, if you get a lot of hype around it, then there's a lot of pressure on you for your second album.
This album is going to be incredible. We're doing a lot of collaborations on it, more than the last album for sure, but we're doing collaborations on this album. We're producing some stuff ourselves and writing some more stuff ourselves. It's going to be definitely an album way more influenced by the group right here.
I think No Strings Attached is just, we feel like there's nothing that can really hold us back from
There's
doing
no
that.
puppet master behind us.
Well,
That's
we just feel like there's nothing that can hold us back from doing what we love to do.
No Strings Attached went on to become multi-platinum, selling millions of copies all around the world. It featured the hit single Bye Bye Bye, which is known as NSYNC's signature song.
So NSYNC were a really good band. They were in search of a great song, the one that really puts them over the top. Bye 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 was the one that did it for them. Fantastic video as well, with them as sort of marionettes with the strings as well. It was very relatable, very watchable, very danceable, and once they'd recorded Bye Bye Bye, there was just no stopping them. It was hello, hello, hello to fame, riches, money, girls. The NSYNC express train had left the station.
After their second album had gone multi-platinum, NSYNC were the most popular boy band on the planet. They embarked on the No Strings Attached tour and successfully managed to sell out arenas all over the world.
NSYNC's No Strings Attached tour was definitely a turning point for them. It kind of took them from being this pop band to being international global pop sensations.
So as soon as NSYNC announced that they would tour the world with the No Strings Attached World Tour, demand for tickets went through the roof. Every radio station in America, every TV outlet, everyone, every media outlet, every press, everyone wanted to talk about the fact that NSYNC were going on tour, and the demand was huge. These arenas sold out within, I think, an hour in most cities. The demand was that massive. They had to add constant dates. And it also meant that they toured and visited countries they'd never been to before, and they were able to go back to Europe and assert their authority as one of the biggest bands in the world.
After NSYNC had performed to screaming fans all around the world, fans and music critics were beginning to wonder if Justin was starting to assert his dominance over the group.
You know, this is the classic story in pop, isn't it? You know, you think of the Jackson 5. They were great, but Michael Jackson was obviously the superstar. It's the same with NSYNC. They were great together, but your eyes immediately go to Justin Timberlake. He is the one that has the star quality. So it was inevitable that he started getting more of the fans, more of the fan mail. This is going to lead to a certain amount of jealousy and resentment in the group. It happens with a lot of bands. And Justin Timberlake was becoming bigger than NSYNC. Something had to give.
Very much in the way that Justin attracted attention in the Mickey Mouse Club, in NSYNC, his personality started to shine through. The Renaissance man that he now is was already showing in many ways. He wasn't just satisfied with being a pop star or a dancer. He wanted to write the music. He was already talking to the Neptunes. He was very interested in hip-hop. He always says that he fancied himself as a bit of a hip-hop star, and he was starting to sort of think, how am I going to push this? How can I be a bit more credible? But he was also quite funny in interviews, very sort of commanding, witty, and he just became everyone's favourite member of NSYNC, but he was also the biggest all-rounder.
In the year 2000, Justin started dating female pop superstar Britney Spears. Britney was one of the biggest celebrities in the world at that point, and her relationship with Justin further enhanced this tag as the standout member of NSYNC.
So Justin Timberlake was famous, but when he started dating Britney Spears, he was super famous, because there's one thing that can really take you to the next level when you're a celebrity, and that's dating another celebrity. Obviously, it gives the press more to write about you. It's fascinating as well. When every girl in America wants to date you, and then she sees you're dating Britney Spears, you know, that immediately is going to have an effect. Probably a lot of girls started hating Britney Spears because they were jealous. But it had Justin talked about, and suddenly no one was talking about the band. They were only talking about Justin.
Well, again, to his credit, Justin Timberlake has never really tried to capitalise on his relationships. Britney and Justin denied that they were an item. They said they were just friends. They were caught kissing in New Orleans and couldn't deny they were an item anymore, so sort of reluctantly admitted that they were seeing each other. Everyone went crazy. They were dubbed the first couple of pop. Everyone wanted a bit of them. In the end, they finally gave up and started doing red carpets together, wearing matching denim outfits. Just totally embraced this sort of hot new relationship, and it really did a lot. He became, the power of two is always huge, and everyone fell in love with him. This couple from the Deep South with humble beginnings. They were great young pop stars. It made him a global celebrity and not just a pop star or performer.
Justin and Britney were a hot topic in Hollywood, and whilst they had been filling showbiz columns all around the world, NSYNC were about to release their third studio album, Celebrity.
If you go back to 2001, you may remember that the world of music was dominated really by hip-hop and R&B, but it was obvious by halfway through 2001 that pop, R&B, hip-hop was the way to go. Pure pop The pop music of 98, 99, when we first discovered Britney and Justin Timberlake, that was dying off a little bit. Kids wanted something a little bit cooler, and this was really being led by the USA.
Celebrity really sort of signalled what Justin wanted to do early on. Even the album cover was a sort of indictment on popular culture, with them being papped outside a nightclub. It was really a big change in direction from the earlier stuff.
Suddenly more hip-hop influences were coming into play. It wasn't pure pop like we'd had before. Also, the band were much more involved in the musical process. You know, they were writing more of the songs, they were creating the sound themselves, they were trying to be a bit more contemporary, a bit more urban. That wasn't what NSYNC had based their fame on, so it was certainly a departure. It wasn't to everybody's tastes.
You be my girlfriend. I'll treat you good. I know you hear your friends when they say you should.
Girlfriend was very much a sort of precursor to the Justified hip-hop, Neptunes, kind of Nelly influenced vibe that Justin was going for, but it didn't sell well. It was critically acclaimed and it didn't sell well. So the fans were a little bit shocked at this change in direction, but critically Justin got the kind of nudge that he wanted to go into the next stage.
I think when Girlfriend was released, we started to realise just how much influence Justin was having over the band. You know, even when you look back at it now, it does sound like a Justin Timberlake song.
Unfortunately for boy band fans, NSYNC's third album, Celebrity, was to be their last. The band announced they would be going on hiatus shortly after the release of the album. Critics started to speculate that the band had gone their separate ways.
Well, NSYNC never have officially ever really broken up. They were going to make another album after Celebrity. They almost went into the studio to make another album. Again, they've all got different stories about what happened, but pretty much Justin wanted to go solo. There was a bit of bitterness about it. Obviously, they're all great mates again now. It just didn't happen. Justin wanted to go his own way. He'd had a bit of kudos from the critics, and he knew he wanted to do something different, and so that album just never happened.
There comes a time in the career of every pop band when you suddenly hit a roadblock. Those arguments can be about creative differences. Those arguments can be about money. It can be about musical direction. In the case of NSYNC, you had, the band who were here, and then you had Justin Timberlake who was here. He was on a rocket ship to the moon. They were holding him back in a way. Something had to give. They went on hiatus to work out what was going to happen. And the fact is, what did happen was Justin went on to huge solo success, and he left NSYNC behind.
After NSYNC had broken up, Justin was once again making headlines, this time with the news that he and Britney had split up.
Justin and Britney breaking up, that was a huge news story because everyone had a fascination with them. They were pop culture icons. And when they were together, it was amazing. When they were apart, that was headline making.
Well, when Justin was with Britney Spears, this was his first love. So when they did split up, just shortly after NSYNC had been on their hiatus, it was a big shock.
People couldn't really handle this as a story. Fans couldn't handle it. And people are still in love with the idea of Justin and Britney now, all these years later.
I think it affected Justin in a very deep way, more that he was letting on. If you think about Justin's history and where he's placed his love in his life, he grows up, very much in love with his parents. At the age of 5, his parents divorced. That was a devastating blow to him. In his life, with all that was happening, with the fame, the success, his anchor, if you like, was Britney Spears, his longtime girlfriend. She'd been at his side since the Mickey Mouse Club days. When she's suddenly out of his life, it's hugely devastating to him.
There was huge amounts of speculation about why they'd split up, and soon it started to filter through that Justin's heart had been broken and there were rumours of infidelity on Britney's part. It just made him a bigger star. It made people like him more. It made people more fascinated by the inner dynamic of this relationship, and it made people want to know what he was going to do next.
After his breakup with Britney, Justin was back in the studio recording his first solo album, Justified. The album's lead single was Cry Me a River, which went on to be hugely successful.
Cry Me a River was obviously a huge hit to come from Justified. It was rumoured to be about his split with Britney Spears, and I think we'd all love to, think about the fact that Justin has thrown all of his problems in his personal life into his music.
Justified was a watermark for Justin Timberlake. It was a self-titled album, very, very cleverly done, of course, Justin into Justified. And people were already waiting to find out what was happening. This man had sort of quite demonstrably had his heart broken by the biggest pop star on the planet. What is he going to do next? He's going to release a record that everyone's going to go crazy for. And at this point, Britney was starting to dwindle a little bit. She wasn't quite as exciting and crackling. And suddenly this new directional, he describes it as a cross between Stevie Wonder meets Michael Jackson record, had everyone dancing all over the globe. It was a smash hit on every level.
And I think that what Justin did was he poured all his heartbreak, all his emotions into song, which was very clever. He came up with Cry Me a River, the song that was inspired by his breakup with Britney. It's one of his signature songs, one of his greatest ever tracks, because there is real emotion and real heart behind that.
Of course, in the video, we see a woman who looks very much like Britney Spears cheating on someone and breaking someone's hearts. The lyrics pertain to that as well.
When you're a singer-songwriter and you put your own experience into music, great things can happen. When Justin sings Cry Me a River, you know there's real emotion behind it because he's singing about himself. The lyrics have to do with betrayal, abandonment, emotion. And anyone who's been in a relationship at any stage of their life can relate to what Justin is singing about. He's authentic, it's true, it's real.
This is the one time he's really capitalised on his love life. But in a way, because he's such that kind of artist, people sort of feel that he was big cathartic for him, that he really wanted to get something out. So not only have you got this great song that it's universally liked, it's easy to dance to, easy to sing, it really does tell the story of the biggest breakup of the decade, maybe of the century. So it really helped the single.
With the release of Justified, Justin's solo career was successfully underway. The album was hugely popular amongst fans all around the world and went on to become a multi-platinum selling album. The diverse and unique sound was heavily praised by some well-respected music critics. Hip-hop superstars such as the Neptunes and Timbaland were producers on the album and helped to give it a sound that would appeal to a wider range of fans.
Justin Timberlake is very, very clever. As well as a great performer, he's a great businessman as well. He understands the market, he understands contemporary relevance. What he did was decide to work with the best people. It's like any business. If you bring in the best people around you, the business is going to be successful. He made his brand super successful by bringing in people like Timbaland and Neptune to work with him. And they saw that Justin was prepared to work hard and was serious about the business. And so they got on very well with each other. It was a great creative partnership, and they were able to really take things to the next level.
Of course, it had been growing for a long time with NSYNC, and people hadn't realised this is the way Justin wanted to go. And he often joked about his friend Ryan Gosling, and he used to pretend they were gangsters when they were younger. This is always what he wanted to do. He didn't want to do sort of white music from the South. He wanted to get into hip-hop. And he fostered this over a long period of time. And really, it was a record that people could dance to. But more than anything, it wasn't just a teen record. It was a record that was pretty cool. Young people could dance to it. People who were trendy could dance to it. It was being played everywhere. So it really did make him suddenly a credible artist.
In 2003, it was rumored that Justin was dating Hollywood A-lister Cameron Diaz. After the two were photographed hanging out together in Hollywood, they went public with their relationship and were the latest couple to be taking Hollywood by storm.
Well, you kind of would have thought after Justin going out with Britney that he wouldn't have gone out with another high-profile person.
Justin had recently become cool. It was a strange catapult to being cool, and he almost didn't really know how to deal with it. At one point, he was a teen pop star, and he suddenly became one of the coolest guys on the planet. And then he got one of the coolest girlfriends on the planet, and he couldn't really have picked a cooler girlfriend than Cameron Diaz. He himself said she helped him to deal with fame and how to live his life in lots of ways, and still credits her with a big achievement in his life. So really, that was quite a shocker for everyone that he's really sort of gone off the pitch a little bit with this idea. She was about as far removed from Britney while still being a hot blonde as you could be. And of course, they revealed their relationship by snogging outside her house in the Hollywood Hills after the premiere of Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, which is a pretty cool way to reveal that you're snogging probably one of your teen pin-ups.
You know, I think I'm very jealous of Justin Timberlake. Not only does he have that great look, great voice, all the money and fame you want, but then he gets Cameron Diaz as well. I mean, when is enough for goodness sake? So yeah, that really made the headlines and really made a lot of us jealous or envious. But you know, way to go, Justin. Well done.
In 2004, Justin was asked to perform alongside Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl halftime show. What would follow would ultimately become one of the most memorable and talked about incidents at a Super Bowl.
The Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson Super Bowl moment is one of those moments in TV history everyone has seen and everyone to this day still talks about.
Well, just when Justin couldn't do any wrong, he had the perfect life, he was the perfect artist, he had the perfect girlfriend, everybody loved Justin Timberlake. He did something that nobody was quite expecting.
So there's 140 million people watching Justin Timberlake performing with Janet Jackson in the halftime show of the Super Bowl. But no one remembers even what they were singing or what the song was. They just remember one particular incident.
During the performance, he ripped some cloth from her top off and revealed her breast to the whole world, but mainly America during the Super Bowl. And everyone went absolutely crazy. They admitted that they planned this little bit of the routine but didn't run it past anybody, so they held their hands up to it.
It was the nipple scene around the world. It was a huge controversy. We laugh about it now, but CBS television were absolutely furious about it because there are rules governing what you can and can't show in primetime network television. And you certainly can't show Janet Jackson's nipple in front of 140 million people on network television. Now, this was a career crossroads moment for Justin because just a couple of weeks later, he was nominated at the Grammy Awards. That was televised on CBS, and CBS threatened to not have Justin Timberlake on the Grammys unless he publicly apologized. We're talking millions of dollars in fines. We're talking CBS possibly losing their license to broadcast network television because they had broken federal rules. The rules are set down by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. Justin was very canny, but he didn't throw his toys out in the pram and say, I do what I want. He towed the company line. What he did was he went to the Grammys, he accepted an award. In the acceptance speech, he briefly read a scripted apology. He moved on with his career.
In late 2004, Justin decided it was time to take a break from the music scene as he wanted to focus on his acting career. He would ultimately go on to star alongside some of Hollywood's biggest names.
Justin brings a passion to everything that he does, and he decided, okay, I'm going to take a break from music and I'm going to be passionate about films. I'm going to go at it 100%. It's not going to be the situation where I'm writing my next album in the trailer, I'm laying down tracks and then I'm to the set. No, he was 100% laser focused on film.
Again, the perseverance that little Justin Timberlake showed when he was knocked back as an 11-year-old came into play when he decided he wanted to be an actor. Again, nobody really expected him to want to be an actor and he didn't really need to, but he chose a role in Edison with Morgan Freeman about a corrupt policeman as his first acting role. It wasn't an obvious choice. It wasn't the obvious choice for any of his skill set. And it bombed. It went straight to video. But again, he went for Alpha Dogs, another gritty thriller.
Well, after having the conversation with Nick, the director, and knowing what I know about him and how great he is, that was one reason. And then after he told me about the film and gave me all the information about it, I was like, I have to be involved with this project.
Kept on with these gritty roles until finally he started to get a little bit of recognition. And at that point, he became a viable prospect to be cast in a decent role.
He was learning the business, but he was developing all this time the skills which would eventually make him a leading man in film.
After acting alongside some of Hollywood's finest, the news broke that Justin and Cameron Diaz had split up.
Any relationship is difficult. A relationship is so much harder when it's lived out in the public eye. Every time Justin and Cami as I call her, were going on dates, there was a sort of paparazzi sort of long lens. You can't even focus on the conversation because you're looking out for cameras the whole time. It must be so difficult. So the challenge that any relationships face were magnified there.
The breakup between Justin and Cameron Diaz was very different to the Britney breakup. It was clearly a slightly more amicable breakup. They had broken up quite a few times in the run-up to the final split, so it wasn't a massive shock. Everyone was in love with the idea of Britney and Justin as real sweethearts, and there was more of a sense that Justin and Cameron were friends.
Cameron and Justin initially wouldn't talk about their private life in early interviews, but a few months down the line on the red carpet, I remember Cameron Diaz admitting that she was a solo girl.
So when they actually broke up, people were quite shocked but not really surprised, and immediately started speculating about who might be the next lady on the scene.
After coming through such a public breakup, Justin was back in the studio recording his second solo album. The album was titled Future Sex Love Sounds and featured the smash hit, Sexy Back.
I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. The mother boys don't know how to act. Yeah. I think it's special what's behind your back. Yeah. So turn around and I'll pick up the slack.
Future Sex Love Sounds immediately started on the right track with Sexy Back. It was the first #1 for him in the UK.
Sexy Back was a cheeky nod from Timberlake, who was coined in England, was called the trouser snake for his womanising, and he actually talked about how he wanted it to be adult and sexy, and it was about as adult and sexy as it could be, with tongue-in-cheek and being played on the radio. And of course it's a great dance song, but it was less juvenile than his earlier stuff, and it was kind of a bit more accomplished and secure.
Future Sex Love Sounds really marked Justin Timberlake's emergence as a serious artist. There was clearly a lot of influences on it. Michael Jackson always been a huge influence on Justin Timberlake, and you really saw it on this album. But you know, this was the moment when everyone started to take Justin Timberlake seriously. Before, he'd been dismissed as a boy band member, then he was an ex-boy band member trying to be a solo artist, but this was the one where everyone started to sit up and listen and realise he had the goods.
What Goes Around Comes Around was also a huge hit for him. It was another #1 in the US. The video featured Scarlett Johansson. It was kind of supposed to be the sequel to the Crimea River video that we'd seen about the Britney breakup.
What Goes Around Comes Around sort of hinted that Justin wasn't quite over what Britney did. Even though his relationship with Cameron had seemed an amicable relationship, it still seemed that his parents' breakup and the breakup with Britney was haunting him at the back of it all. This recurring motif of people lying in relationships.
These singles showed us that Justin couldn't just sing, he could dance, he did a perfect video, he was the total package. He didn't need NSYNC around him to show the star quality. You know, he'd moved on to a whole new level here. He was great. At that time, there was no one else in music doing what he was doing. He had it all to himself. He was on a great level. He was just cooking on gas. He was firing on all cylinders. It was Justin Timberlake time.
At this point in his career, Justin was well known for dating some of Hollywood's most beautiful women. And in 2007, he started dating Hollywood actress Jessica Biel.
Justin Timberlake's love life could be a movie in itself. I mean, he's dated some of the most famous and some of the sexiest women in the world.
Jessica Biel. Gorgeous. Can Justin Timberlake pick them or what? You know, Britney Spears, Cameron Diaz, Jessica Biel, hello. You know, that guy has got an eye for talent and an eye for the ladies, and what ladies?
Justin and Jessica Biel were spotted together around Hollywood quite a few times before they came anywhere near to admitting they were having a relationship. This has been Justin's most private relationship in many ways. And she was very, very different to his last girlfriends. For the least that she was brunette, Justin Timberlake liked his blondes, and then suddenly he went for this brunette. And it took a while for them to actually admit they were dating, and then they sort of discreetly started appearing on red carpets together. But he's never really overplayed his feelings, maybe having learned from the early relationships not to make a sort of show of it. He got into lots of tangles with the press over Cameron Diaz and the paparazzi.
Well, their relationship faced the same challenges that Justin's earlier relationships had faced. Again, he was dating a beautiful girl who was very much in the spotlight. Time together was a problem. She was off making movies, he was off making music, making movies, but they eventually found a way to make time for each other. Eventually, it became not another romance. There was something deeper here. There was true love. Sure, they faced challenges along the way. There was rumors they'd broken up a couple of times, but they kept going back to each other. This was the one, and us Justin watchers began to think, maybe this is the girl for him.
In mid-2007, Justin decided to return to the acting world and put his music career on hold. Having already starred alongside some of Hollywood's finest actors, the offers came flooding in for the former NSYNC star.
It was obvious to all those who knew Justin Timberlake well that he wanted to take a break from music to focus on movies. He'd been dabbling in acting since he was a kid. He'd explored opportunities. He'd met with scriptwriters and directors.
So Justin continued to work at his acting craft, and he got better and better all the time. If you look at his work in the movie Friends with Benefits alongside Mila Kunis, that's a great romantic comedy. He's really got all the skills in that. But Justin was so good, he ended up in a Best Picture nominee. His role in The Social Network is really good. He belongs in that company.
But it was speculated on the internet, which is always 115% true, that I was going to be playing the part of Sean Parker in this film.
That's a film nominated for Best Picture, and there was even talk of Justin getting a Best Supporting Actor nomination. He didn't in the end, but I definitely think there's an Oscar in his future.
I did draw a lot of what I wanted to bring out of the character from the screenplay, and like Aaron said, it should also be noted that we were working with a masterful filmmaker. Enough cannot be said about not to embarrass Aaron, but how well and dazzling the whole screenplay was. I spent so much time playing this character. I find a lot of sympathy for Sean's situation in the film. I think they're all going to be okay, but we were telling a story about a moment in time. This isn't a biopic, it's about a moment in time.
After the success of The Social Network, he kind of improved even more and showed us that he could get those big film roles. Huge action film In Time with Amanda Seyfried.
This role to me was somebody that I admired and someone that I felt really close to. So I probably put a little more of myself into the character with this role.
As Justin knows, you never really made it unless Madonna wants you to duet with her. And his duet with Madonna in 4 Minutes was really well received. It was a sort of crazy notion about saving the planet, hit to a big sort of techno dance tune. And in the video, Madonna and Justin Timberlake are running away from a black hole and become swallowed up by it. But it's a great dance tune, and he held his own with Madonna. They looked great together in the video. It was a critical smash, and it did really well. So it was a real leveler for him. He was on the same sort of standard as Madonna, and she sort of saw him as an equal.
Suddenly, Justin Timberlake became the one everyone wanted to work with. When Justin started out as a solo artist, he was thinking, well, who can I reach out to? Who can come on my albums? Who can guest on my singles?
IO Technology with 50 Cent, the video was fun. It was Minority Report, Timberland popped up, so they had a lot of fun filming in North London, sitting around in greasy spoon cafes.
You got me saying, hey, oh. I'm tired of using technology. Why don't you sit down on top of me? Hey, oh, I'm tired of using technology. I need you right in front of me.
He had so established himself as a great, talented and serious solo artist that suddenly everyone was reaching out to him to give their own acts more credibility. He was in a great place. He was the Sinatra of young showbiz.
At this point in his career, Justin was used to making headlines all around the world. And in 2012 came the huge news that Justin and Jessica were getting married.
Justin did what every girl didn't want him to do, which was propose to Jessica Biel on a mountaintop in Wyoming, and then kind of had quite a quick celebrity wedding to follow. He even sold the pictures to a magazine and put them out there for everybody to see. So you kind of got a glimpse into his personal life, which we've never really seen before. And they just look so damn beautiful as well.
For the longest time, Justin had put his career first. He was so driven. But when Jessica Biel came along, he was hit by Cupid's arrow and he realized there was something that mattered more than himself. And that was his love for this woman. He popped the question, he put a ring on it, fairy tale story, fairy tale wedding. Let's hope it has a happily ever after.
I think after so many amounts of heartbreak during his private life, it was really nice to see Justin just walk down the aisle, marry pretty much the hottest girl in Hollywood, and just be happy.
Justin Timberlake, Mirror.
This is a really special video for me.
After his success at the 2013 VMAs, Justin released the second part of the 2020 Experience album, which included the hugely popular single, TKO.
He's got Elvis's granddaughter, Riley Keough, to start. I mean, that's how big Justin is now. Just get Elvis's granddaughter to play my love interest. It's another video about infidelity and relationships, a bit of a theme here with Justin, even though he's happily married.
TKO, I'm out for the count, that girl, you knock me out. It's just a TKO, I'm out for the count, that girl, you knock me out. The TKO.
He has some sexy scenes with Riley, he gets involved in a road trip, he's driven to his death. Again, it's another dancey, slightly like hip-hop, and again, Bowie-ish kind of sort of tune. He's put all his influence together, and it's been another must-smash hit.
So just when we thought we'd seen all of Justin's new material, along comes a load more, and it's just as great as the previous bunch. Look at TKO. That was not only a knockout in the pop charts, but it was a technical knockout to all his rivals in pop music, saying, yeah, I'm the man, I'm still here, I'm king of the ring, you can't knock me down.
Then we could take back the night. Come on, use me up until there's nothing left. Take back the night. Dizzy, spinning, sweating, you can't catch your breath.
Take Back the Night was an absolutely massive hit, and again, it showed a development in where Justin was going. Again, sexy is always a bit of a theme with him, but this song, he said, was inspired by Prince, another one of his childhood loves, and it was a huge, huge hit.
You know, this guy is a runaway train. You just can't stop him. He's a force in show business, and he comes with more great tracks, more great music. He had the whole world dancing, and it's so nice that he didn't get big-headed or egomaniacal about it. You know, he keeps smiling, he keeps performing, he's got a glint in his eye, a wink to camera. He's a great performer. He takes success in his stride, and he continues to deliver it.
Just as he did at the 2013 VMA Awards, Justin would go on to win big at the 2013 American Music Awards.
The AMAs were the Justin Timberlake Awards. He pretty much scooped the board. He was completely overwhelmed, and he dedicated most of the awards to his paternal grandfather, who was a Baptist minister who apparently first taught Justin to sing. So again, it was a real humbling moment for him, because this really was every single thing he took home again. He was recognised in sort of all different categories.
JT currently has no competition. With what he does, he's so good, he's so much better than everybody else in his genre of music that he's going to keep on racking up awards as long as he wants to do it, and as long as he keeps up the same level of talent, drive and determination, he'll do it. He's number one.
you know probably that I enjoy looking ridiculous in everyday life. So that was not hard for me in the movie. So it was a lot of fun. I actually like that beard.
The Coen brothers, for Justin Timberlake, has always been a goal. He's always talked about how he'd absolutely love to star in one of their films, and he describes it as a quadruple threat because not only is he starring in this film, he doesn't play the lead role. It's a film about a folk singer trying to make his way. It's inspired by an album cover, so it brings his two worlds together. And he is a supporting part of a very musy, folky geek, which he plays very well. The comic turns do well for him.
As far as I know, it's a question for Justin. It's the first time you play a singer in a movie. I would like to know how did you approach your acting, your play?
Just the same as everyone else. Like we said, there was a very familial energy around the movie. How did I approach the character? I called Joel after I read the script, and I said, it's like, what does Jim do? Like, what's his thing? And I remember us having this conversation where neither of us can answer the question. And oddly enough, until I really zoned in on the nod to the elephant that is Bob Dylan in the movie, until I until I caught that, I didn't really know who Jim was. And for me, I was able to take a step back and say, oh, Jim is like part of the transition that is sort of the underbelly of the time that they had written about, or at least that's the way I interpret it for myself. But as far as singing in the movie, obviously it's on the surface a different style from the music that I make in real life, which I think that's what you're talking about, correct? But listen, man, I grew up in Tennessee. Home of the blues, birthplace of rock and roll, Memphis, and a lot of country music. So my first musical lessons were given to me by my grandfather on an old Gibson guitar, and he taught me how to fingerpick. And a lot can be said about a certain style of country music that probably came from folk, and so it felt warm and fuzzy to me to be in this movie and be singing, but yeah, we had a specific style that I think we wanted Jim and Gene to sound like, as to be something that was counterintuitive to Oscar's character. So I just tried to be conscious of that.
But he also composed a lot of the music for it, so he's brought his loves of making music and acting and having a bit of a laugh together, and for him, he says it's the symbiosis of everything he ever wanted to do, and he's got great reviews for it. And of course, it's a bit of an indie film in the way the Coen brothers always are, and there's a bit of a geek about Justin. He always likes to please the critics and the indie fans.
He was part of one of the biggest boy bands of all time and went on to become one of the most successful actors and recording artists of the 21st century. Having already achieved so much throughout his illustrious career, what's in store for Justin Timberlake's future?
The only thing you can be sure of is that the future's going to be bright for Justin Timberlake, unless he's run out of things to do, because he's been pretty accomplished already so far. He can act in anything he wants to do. It's clearly obvious that his interests lie in doing things like Coen Brothers films that we're not expecting, a little bit outside of the genre. Music-wise, it'd be interesting to see where he goes, because he's covered almost every genre possible in his albums, but I think we're going to carry on seeing a bit of a theme. Maybe he'll become a crooner as he gets a bit older. But I mean, he really is the modern Renaissance man. He can do anything he sets his mind to, and he likes to push boundaries and be creative, so I think we're going to see a lot more exciting stuff from Justin Timberlake. But are we going to see another relationship? Is he going to stay happily married?
He is able to marry his talent in a number of different disciplines, film as well as music, with great mental strength, great business savvy, and great determination. As long as he continues to have that drive, we'll be hearing about Justin Timberlake for decades to come. I think he's going to become our Frank Sinatra. He's definitely going to win an Oscar. countless Grammys in his future. As long as he continues to have the desire to do it, we'll be there to watch him. He's certainly got the talent.